Hey, it's me, Queen P.R, and I'm back with Brian H. Waters. And we just binged Love and WWE, the new docuseries featuring Bianca Belair and Montez Ford, one of my favorite wrestling couples. How about you, Brian?
Yes. If I had one, if I didn't have one, I have one now, without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, I love
It,
that.
it's Bianca and Montez, just two incredible people,
Yeah.
and I love when incredible people find each other.
Same. I do too, especially in the world of wrestling.
hmm
Which is why I wanted to do a recap with you. I didn't realize they were going to drop all 8 episodes. So I wanted
Yeah.
to do weekly recaps, but then at the end me and you sit and recap it. So we binged it
hmm
and all 8 episodes available on Hulu now. I cannot wait to hear what the viewership is like because it was all over my timeline when I woke up this morning. People were watching it from midnight. Bianca tweeted about it. I'm like, oh,
hmm
okay, it is real. Like, let's get on this. So I was excited to watch it because of what you mentioned, just two phenomenal human beings, beautiful people inside and out. Bianca, the success that she's reached in WWE in such a short amount of time. And we know how serious she takes her relationship with Montez, and they support each other. We see glimpses of it, on social media and in interviews and backstage of them just supporting each other, watching each other's matches. But a docu-series is something completely different. So we really got to see a peek behind the curtain. So overall, Brian, what did you think of the show?
Overall, I loved it. When I found out that they were doing the show, it was one of those things like, oh, this makes sense. It's perfect. Those are the best two people. And I think when you think about what you know about Bianca Belair, right? Someone who came through college and, was a athlete that became a pro wrestler. Her brother was the one that was the fan.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's living out the dream. And then you know about Montez, somebody who grew up, this was a dream of his. He went to the military and even he told us that on the ringer that they wanted him to be a preacher. And you
Mm,
could see that in the show, just the way he is, that
yes.
charisma.
Yeah.
So, like, we've seen a lot of wrestling couples, and we've had some that's had reality shows. As
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you would know better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt that this was perfect for this generation because that's the best two. Those are the ones that I would want to see do more. And the show lived up to the hype. It exceeded all expectations.
1,000%.
You because it's love and WWE, and you really got to see the love that they have for each other throughout the
Yes.
support. And I mentioned to you that I've seen them working together and,
Mhm.
whether it's like doing press events or interviews. It was one time I was walking down the street in Brooklyn the week of Survivor Series and I peeped into a restaurant and I saw them with Dawkins all playing Uno late night. And I remember wanting to get something to drink, right? Um, but I didn't go in because I was like, it looked like the restaurant may have been closed. It might have been one
Mhm.
other person in there, but I was like, man, I don't even want to go near them
Right.
just because, like,
Yeah, they
and
want
then,
their they might need their privacy.
yeah, and just even, especially because I had met them. I had produced the interview with the Street Profits before. So it may have been like some familiarity. I'm not gonna say they may or may not remember, but I was like, nah, you know what? Let them have their time to themselves. So, and when you watch the show, seeing the cameos, shout out to a
Mm.
good friend of ours, Cornell Gunther, who's in
Yes.
there. Him and his wife, another lovely
New
couple.
parents.
Yeah. And, seeing the love that they have for each other. And you see it's not too many times on reality TV where you can see two couples that just all together just love each other and there's no
Mhm.
drama. and uplifting each other,
Right.
right? And then, or even like the drama was life was giving them drama, not so much
Right, and it
I haven't
wasn't even drama, it was more
Mhm.
things that come with your life and career.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they mentioned and I think what's featured on the show is all types of love because you have the love between Bianca and Montez, but then you have their family and that
Mhm.
support system and her hanging out with her childhood best friends was so wholesome and heartwarming because it's hard to just kind of come down and connect to your family and everything, especially with their schedule.
Mhm.
So seeing the love between even Montez and Dawkins and even the three of them because it's always the three of them on the road and everything. So just seeing all the camaraderie, like her friend, who would have known her and Liv Morgan are best friends. So these peeks behind the curtain that you get to kind of see is what I loved about it. And you really saw a little bit of everything. So the show documents their road to WrestleMania, literally from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. What I did like about that is we're currently on the road to WrestleMania. We were just in Florida for Royal
Mhm.
Rumble, and we are, people are making their match announcement. So seeing all of that from Bianca and Montez's point of view from last year when WrestleMania 39 was happening was great because we can all kind of relate to that anxiety of just getting ready, even as just working it as media, like we can also feel that anxiety of getting ready, for such a big event. But we touched on, reality shows. So I refer to it as Bianca and Montez's reality show, but I noticed Bianca started using docuseries on her social media, and it was a unique rollout compared to Total Divas, where there were only 8 episodes. They all dropped at once on Hulu, so it was kind of that new phase of reality TV for WWE. What I loved about it was you mentioned that other wrestling couples were featured before the Nikki Bella and the John Cena's and the Brie Bella and the Brian Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm gonna commend you because you wanted to be right and
I
nice,
said
but
that's his name, but he'll always be Daniel Bryan to me. But we saw our share Trinity and Jimmy. We saw
Mhm.
our share of wrestling couples, but I think Bianca and Montez were the first reality show where it was, one, a black couple that was the focus.
Yeah.
And their relationship started, they met in, developmental. Like their relationship started when they started in the company. So they're a couple that literally grew within WWE, their careers as well. So it's more, I don't know, it feels more like we grew up with them. Like they're a part of literally the WWE family.
Mhm.
So it was nice to see their dynamic outside of the ring. I couldn't help but relate. We are a couple in wrestling. We work together a lot. So it was nice to see how they're able to navigate literally every step of their lives together.
Mhm. I love the fact that you said we grew up with them. Here's
Mhm.
why. You think about John Cena, right? We knew we was watching wrestling before John Cena came to the WWE, but in a sense, like, all right, he comes to the main roster. Nikki Bella comes from her world. Boom, they meet.
Mhm.
Miz and Maurice, they meet. Right. The closest thing may be Jimmy and Trinity,
Mhm.
or I guess I would say Jonathan and Trinity. But that being Jimmy Uso and Naomi,
Mhm.
but we didn't necessarily get the journey right away. From the moment I feel like from the moment Bianca and Montez were
Mhm.
on regular programming in
Mhm.
NXT, we knew.
Right.
Obviously, social media, us
I was
having
just gonna say.
yeah, having access to that. I would even say we're starting to see more from Carmelo Hayes and I'm flat and blanking on her name. Kalani Jordan.
Yes.
But, again, we saw Mello already established
Right.
first, and most people follow
Right.
him from the indies where we wasn't following. If Montez was on the indies, we wasn't following. We obviously know
Mhm.
Bianca wasn't. So yeah, that was the best way to say it. We grew up with them.
Right.
We watched them evolve, and a couple stories here and there. Remember a
Mhm.
couple
Yep.
times there's a little drama on
Yep.
social
They
media that got
did.
corrected. But one of the things she's always said is that she values her marriage as something that's,
Yep.
and the most you might see is when she challenged him and Dawkins when she first became the
Yep.
SmackDown Women's
I remember
Champion.
that.
Yeah, she said we went gold. So I thought this was a beautiful thing.
It
And
was.
again, way to kick off Black History Month.
I know. I was just gonna say, like, to be able to watch this beautiful black successful couple in love,
Hmm.
to see their story played out in the world of wrestling that we love, this world of WWE that we love. Because you always wonder the things that they get into. They get into, their professional um aspirations and where they are.
Hmm.
WWE is a very precarious place to work. One
Hmm.
day you could be on top, one day you could be on the bottom, one day you could be in a tag team, one day you could be solo. Bianca Belair happened to join WWE at the perfect time where women like her, or because she is who she is, her star was on the rise immediately. She didn't grow up watching wrestling. She didn't grow up wanting to be a WWE superstar. Montez did. So his journey, he's a part of a tag team. So his journey is a little bit different. So I
Yep.
always wonder. Everyone probably was always curious, like, how does that work in the house? Like, how does that work in the household? Because we see both of them play the supportive spouse. But what happens when you have that conversation of, do I have a WrestleMania match? When you're Bianca Belair and you're kind of, for a fact that you're going to have a WrestleMania match. What happens when your partner, who no one is in WWE that doesn't want to have a successful solo career that can end up with a championship match at Mania.
Hmm.
So, and Montez is one of those people. So, what happens when you have those conversations at home? That competition. You've been in the industry a little bit longer than I have. You've seen a lot of wrestling couples,
Yes,
and
Lord.
you always talk about how at some point there's always that disconnect because of that professional jealousy. And
Yeah,
you see that with Bianca and Montez.
and that was so beautiful because they really show throughout this how important communication is. Um, he was able to open up to her and say, yes, I love Dawkins, that's my brother, but I do want to be a single star. That was my dream growing up, and I am. He was being able to be vulnerable
Mhm.
and say like, "Look, I gotta find a way to have my moment." WWE is about creating moments. She
Right.
always says that it was his idea for her to wear the braid, and
Mhm.
that because again, he grew up watching and loving this business, so
Mhm.
he, wanting what's best for her, and then, him going to her saying, "Look, you need to take a break," and then even with the personal stuff. Him being right there, like the workout stuff. And that's the thing I didn't see a lot in the indies was
Mhm.
you would see the couples and independent wrestling, right? You'll have the women's match because there's like far and few in between. If they on the card, it's a success, right?
Right.
But then the men or their man, if he wasn't at the top of the card, it was, it could be difficult, or you would see the woman getting traction online and
Mhm.
having more followers and, doing the photo shoots that's more successful. And then the man still trying to figure his way out. And if he
Mhm.
didn't look like, $1 million, it was difficult,
Right.
but and I've seen some successful couples. I've seen them make it work,
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We love our wrestling power couples, and I
Mhm.
think now it's more common, especially once you gotten to WWE,
Yeah.
because at that point there's a little bit more professional security. So there might not be as much, professional jealousy, because I'm sure like you guys both have, Montez and Bianca, you guys are both employed. But of course Montez wants to see himself, a
Yeah.
little further. And I think we all can see the star quality in Montez Ford, and I know that his moment is gonna come. So I love just the fact that we're able to see them navigate all of those ups and downs. Like him, showing out at Elimination Chamber, and then his segment getting cut on a show.
Mhm.
We get to see those ups and downs. The first person he called when he found out the bad news was Bianca.
Yeah.
And so just seeing that love and support, it was so um heartwarming. And then just the image of going back to it being Black History Month is seeing such an example for Black love, for Black family,
Mhm.
you see there is a village. It was played as a joke that the family, travels to every show and is super supportive and super involved. It's a blessing. And I'm glad that they got to show like just how much they're supported by their family. That was something I always look forward to. And then of course, them getting into the future of their relationship. Does
Mhm.
Bianca Belair want to have a baby? So many women can relate to that path.
Yeah.
No matter any working woman, whether you're a wrestler, doctor, whatever, you have to think about, how is this going to impact my career? How is this going to, how much time do I have to take off? And when you're in WWE, that can really, a year and a half can make or break your career. I mean, luckily, I will, want to tell Bianca, girl, like, you fine, you can take a year and a half off. We will not, you will come back and we will be right along on that Bianca ride. So
We'll
you don't
be
got to worry about that. You can take your time off. But every woman has to think that way. I think we're probably like the same age. And
Mhm.
we're at that age where it's like, okay, when is the right time? Like, or do I even want this? I don't want to sacrifice one or the other. I want to wait till I accomplish everything here before I go into here. And she, as we know, is a top star. So I love the relatability of that altogether. But I love the entertainment factor as
Mhm.
well. Like I laughed a lot.
Yes. Absolutely. Both of them. Montez Ford is hilarious, and she said, like, you could tell, and that was all, like, when you watched it, because, and shout out to them, before I get to that point, shout out to them, because an
Yeah.
incredible press tour. Now, I was sitting there, they
Mhm.
was talking about how tired they was leading into Mania.
Yo.
You could almost see it in their tweet on their Bianca and Montez
Yeah.
Instagram account, I should say, in the text, where it's like, "All right, we done put it all into the
Yeah. I
show."
think they said
You
they did like 25 plus interviews. Like they have given it all. Please watch
Mhm.
and enjoy this fucking show.
Yeah, and so but you see, like, how, she always talked about, like, you're gonna see how silly he is,
Mhm.
and things you could just see, like, how their senses, like,
Yeah.
when she need a smile.
Right.
He would just doing something, walking in there with the boxing outfit,
Mhm.
providing. He knew how tired she was, and he
Yeah.
knew he was looking forward to the anniversary, and she was, you know what I mean? At Dawkins, it's just him popping up, because we all see Angelo Dawkins and how funny he is, and
Yeah.
then for them to, thinking they're gonna get time, and he's like, "What up, shotgun?" And I'm like, in my head, like, dude,
How do you
like,
think you about to be shotgun? There's a couple in the car.
exactly, and that's one of those things where it's like you stay out of family business, right? Like,
Right.
let's just say I'm letting Montez and them hold my car, right?
Yeah.
And then he yells shotgun, and I say that line what you just said, and then he go like, "No, fam, this is how we do it. Some days she in the front, some days I'm in the front." You know
You
what I
sound
mean?
like him.
And it's just like, but you saw that, and then the way he dressed, because let's be real, everybody knows that's been the thing on social media. The way
Because
Angelo Dug is.
Montez Ford is always dressed to the nines, and I can't
Mhm.
wait to get to that later on in the show. And you always
Yeah.
wonder, like, at least I'm not gonna front because I'm always just like, yo, Montez looks good, like, well put together head to toe, and then you got on a fucking hoodie and a sweatband on, and it's like, "Bro, come on." But he's definitely grown,
Mhm.
which we noticed watching SmackDown tonight, where I was like, "Okay, he's definitely grown in that aspect." He's, wearing suits and all that, because now they're with Bobby Lashley, so you gotta step it up. But that's the
Mhm.
other cool thing about a docu series and stuff like that, because you get to hear those conversations. Because I'm like, that has to come up
Mhm.
where Montez is like, "Yo, you guys step your game up, bro." Like, especially because I do. And when I remember you telling me candid moments when
Mhm.
you were able to interview Montez and Bianca, and they were on the Wednesday Worldwide anniversary show, and how
Worldwide?
we're
You there you go.
white.
Shouts out to Benny Cow.
Love those guys. But just hearing how he was like, "I would have worn a blazer, like that's not a
Mhm.
problem." And I think he even said something like he wear a tuxedo to Taco Bell or something like that.
Yeah, Walmart.
To Walmart.
It's jumping the shark because I was gonna say that's where you and Montez are alike.
Yes, and
You
I
know.
wanna definitely talk about how we feel like we relate to this couple, because
Mhm.
they are okay, we're gonna like, they're gonna be our, besties one day, or at least we'll get a good pick with them, because,
Mhm.
we look up to both of them and them as a couple, I think too. Like, we're even matching like them. Like, I
Yeah.
never thought I would be that girl,
Mm.
but I love you and I love matching with you. Like, it's
Aw.
so fun. Like, I don't think we could ever
Wow.
do like identical, like,
No.
but I love seeing, how we can vibe off each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. This shirt is no longer available. It was a limited release on for your wear. It is dope. But
Shout
yeah, you
out to
can get
Blue and
this
his
now.
lovely wife.
Yes,
We
they
got to
work
see them
together
last
all the
week.
time. We did get to see them at Battle Rumble.
Look at See, because I kept messing up saying battle rap because I'm thinking, oh, rumble
Oh,
rap.
Rumble Rap, Rumble Rap, Rumble
Because I
Rap.
knew Rumble was in the title.
Yes,
But shout out to Mega Ran for an incredible event.
it was a great
I,
event.
I love that, and we'll get it. We'll probably talk about that later on something else. But it was so cool. We got something for WrestleMania. We got Wally Mania, and
Yes.
now having this heading into the Royal Rumble. Oh man, wrestling fans, man, I love this
I
community. I
know,
do.
I do too. And this just expands the show, Loving WWE,
Hmm.
expands the community, because they have always been unapologetically black, but they even talk about at least Montez, about present how you present yourself. It's one
Hmm.
episode where Dawkins makes fun of Montez for washing their rental car because it was dirty,
Yo,
which is hilarious.
I
Because
told you that's something my dad would do.
right, right. But I love that Montez is like, we have to always present ourselves in a certain way. We cannot pull up in front of fans and our car is dirty. I am
Mhm.
dressed in a suit. I am not walking out of a dirty car, whether it's a rental or not. So it's just, that, because you we come from, we grew up in church. Like, you
Mhm.
always, are look presentable. You should
Exactly.
always present yourself in a certain way. And Montez and Bianca have always been that example for us. Like, I talked about it because we had the pleasure of interviewing her during the press junket for the Road to
Mhm.
WrestleMania that the show is based on. And I remember her saying like how tired she was, because you have to be on for so many different things. It's not just your match. It's like that whole week, or even just as champion.
Mhm.
It's so many different things. And I remember thanking her for being such a great example for a black woman and a black couple, and all, and all of that comes with. And I love that there's a part in the beginning where they're like, the fact that they do everything together makes them like who they are. And
Yeah.
some people would say like, that seems clingy, or they need space, or they're codependent, or whatever you want to say. But the fact that they're able to navigate such a crazy world like WWE together
Mhm.
is, from the start, is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You think about you hear about the horror stories between Macho Man and Elizabeth,
Mhm.
and Montez, being a fan, talked about the gear, but it's like
Mhm.
that he took a different route than say
Right.
Randy Poffo did, and I say
Yeah.
that even though he was still him in the character, but that was his personality, and
Mhm.
he would always say, and I've told you that the one thing that I've learned from watching so many documentaries was keep your lady out of the locker room, because things happen. And, I've talked to wrestling couples that are no longer together, and it
Mm.
felt like everybody was going to try to defy the odds. And it, and but there are some good ones out there. Tyson Kidd and Natalia,
Mhm.
Sarah, well, she was Sarah Del Rey and Claudio, so there are
Mm.
some successful ones out there.
Right.
Obviously, Bree and Brian, but with them being unapologetically black, them having that village, you see, and the love that Montez has for Bianca's parents. You know how he was
Mhm.
like, "Yo, oh, he about to climb to get," because Pablo climbed up the ladder. That's how it's supposed to be. And they recognize how blessed they are. Like
Right.
they said, like,
Right.
man, look, we blessed. We need some time.
Right. To have that support back there for sure.
Hmm.
So I think the baby storyline I think was the thread between the entire docuseries from
Hmm.
episode 1 and on. But is there a particular storyline that stuck out to you that you really enjoyed watching?
Wow, that's a great question. Obviously the baby story, but I,
Mhm.
I really enjoy Bianca putting together a WrestleMania entrance.
Yes.
That one, that one almost struck me.
It
Um,
I was
it, it was because we was in the press conference together when we found out
yeah.
about the young girl, and I remember No, I think it was Stack Eye Greg
Mhm.
and or maybe it was Cal and Stack Eye Greg and Kaz interviewed Bianca. And they was trying to get her interest. They was trying to get her tell her interest. She said, nah, but I got something planned, right? And being able to see that and us sitting there. And I remember in sitting next to your WrestleMania and how you was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch this with my sister because of how much
Mhm.
she respects the art of dancing and her history in dancing. And so to see Bianca, but to see it from the other side, to see her come up with the plan, go
Mhm.
there, figure it out, but also having to fly right away. She was like, okay,
Right. She
I
had to
gotta
get
go
on the
now.
jet. Mhm.
And it's like, wow,
I
you
love
know,
seeing that's the other thing, like, how fast that WWE machine works. Like,
yeah.
you gotta be what is it? I don't get ready, I stay ready. Like, that
Hmm.
is the mantra of WWE for sure. But that was also one of my favorite storylines. I definitely shed some tears. I definitely shed some tears at WrestleMania as well because,
Hmm.
just seeing and just seeing, like, these young black girls, these talented young black girls dance on a stage in front of 80,000 people was so beautiful. Like, I don't think she knows, obviously, because you watch the show, she talks about the impact of that, but it's so powerful. And being a little, knowing that, my sister being a dancer too, like, it was just beautiful. And then hearing that little girl's story and just like,
Hmm.
oh my God, like it was even more beautiful learning all of that, how it came together so quick.
Hmm.
You really see how quick things happen in the company and how she also mentioned how she wants everything she does to have a why. So it's like, oh, I just don't want a jet just for the sake of having a jet. Like for an entrance. Like I want my entrances to mean something. So even just like
Hmm.
the marching band in Dallas, like that was an HBCU marching band. It's so powerful. You
Yes.
know, that was I love everything about it. It was so well executed. One storyline for me, and you kind of touched on it, was their couple friends, like
Mm.
Cornell, Gunther and his wife, and how,
Mhm.
and I thought it was just so sweet of Bianca to apologize that their time together really depends on her and Montez's travel schedule,
Mhm.
because they're WWE superstars, and just for her to have the courtesy and the appreciation of the fact that, like, I know that our time together is around my schedule, and
Mhm.
the fact that she realizes that and apologized for that just made me love her even more. Because those are those little things that, in a friendship where it's like, okay, acknowledgement of, like, okay, like, because I do have to drop everything when you're in town if I want to hang out with you, not
Mhm.
necessarily in a negative way, but I appreciated that. Um, I appreciate that they match all the time. Like, I was looking through the show and I was like, I think there's only one scene where they
Mhm.
don't match, and I think that's when they go to the fertility doctor, but every episode they are matching, and I love it so much. Like, I'm definitely in my soft girl era, it just
Yes.
happens when, right, like, so I am all from, I'm like, "Oh, yeah," I was like, "We're gonna record this, Brian, we're gonna match." So, we found a shirt, they're not identical, which I love, they're the same, but they're different colors, so,
So my idea.
um yeah, we'll go with that. So what are some ways that you feel like you relate to Bianca and Montez? Like, not just thinking about us as a couple,
Mhm.
but just in general. Like, how do you relate to them? Because they're two determined, successful, ambitious, talented, gifted Black people working together as a couple and just wishing each other success. How do you relate to Bianca and Montez?
Ooh, let's
Because
crank
we
it up
didn't
a
really
notch.
talk about our relationship like that.
Yeah.
So I want to, you
Break
know,
open the fourth wall a little bit.
just a little bit, just because I couldn't help but
Mhm.
admire a lot of them, admire, and even just kind of learn just how to do it, everything.
Um, I feel like so from a us standpoint, I feel like I could be like Montez sometimes saying, "Okay, slow down."
Mhm.
Telling you to slow down or um sometimes I can wake up and be on 100 and I know how to tone it down. You're gonna hit the snooze button a few times.
Wow, a few times?
And when I
Wow.
say snooze button, not the little one, literal one. That too, but you're gonna be like, give me 5 more minutes, give me 10 more minutes. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready, I'm hyped up. Let's go. We about to
That's
go get
true.
this coffee. We
I
about to go hit the town.
appreciate that, though. Like, like, Bianca Montez, they definitely complement each other in that way,
Hmm.
where he is exactly who he is in the ring, like, silly, wire, all that shit. But Bianca is 100% type A, has to always be occupying her time doing different
Hmm.
things. Um And he does have to, and I remember him saying that, because they ask him all the time, like, does Bianca ever make your gear? And he always says, like, I don't want her to. Like, I see how she crunches everything into every second of the day. I
I'm
don't
so
want
glad
to
you said that. I
add
had a note right there. Yep.
on to that. Like, I don't want to add on to her busy schedule. He's trying to lessen her plate so they can spend more time together. Like, I don't want to add something to your, and then she's just like, of course I'm gonna make your gear, and her determination to do it in a short amount of time. And him
And
being
that's
like,
how you relate to him, and I relate to her.
mm,
Because sometimes I'm like, "Well, just let me handle it. Like, let me
no,
touch it up,
no.
let me edit it, cut it down." And you're like, "Nope, I done figured it out. I done taught myself how to video edit. I done taught myself how to audio edit."
Because
I'm
you're
like,
so busy, like, I couldn't imagine adding more to your plate. But what I love is that we're able to kind of like tag team it.
"Yeah." And but when I saw that immediately I thought, "This is where it flips." Um, I mentioned the Blazers, you're gonna make sure every time you step out, and because of that, it's made me step up. I never thought I'd see the day where I'm making an effort from head to toe. Most of the
Mhm.
time, it was like, okay, get literally get maybe 4 or 5 pairs of shoes, right? A black one,
Mhm.
white one, and maybe 2 kinds of colors, and then just wear them with everything I got.
Mhm.
Now it's like, okay, wore those shoes, can't wear them here, can't wear those there, gotta have a pair of shoes for this. Oh, but get it on this discount. And it's like, let's see, before I think I had 2 pair of Jordans. Now, I got more. So there's that. So, like, the way you and granted, Bianca's the same way, but, like, like I mentioned, we talked about the Blazer
Mhm.
story early, and I remember as soon as he said it, you was the first person that came to mind because I know how much and it was one of the things that had always attracted me to you was the way you would put together an outfit, was the blazers, because I mentioned this, and I'm gonna
Thank
say this
you.
publicly. Like my sister Megan and my sister Nikki, they've always been like very particular about what they put on, and I've never been with somebody who had been very particular about their outfits. And you have been the same way, and so like all your outfits have to make sense. So
Yeah.
when we are out, when we go into a wrestling show, it's on purpose. You're not just going to show up wearing the same thing you wore for 17 years. You're not just going to grab, um, or even grabbing, you're not like, all right, I wore this here. I'm gonna just wear this all day. Like, no, we
Right.
we do three
And
things.
I
It's
and I
three different
love that
outfits.
you allow me to do that because I love being like, okay, lay all the options out. Let's figure out how we're gonna, like
Yeah,
our Martin theme at
it
Battle
make me step
Rumble.
my game up because it's like, well, shoot, I want to look good.
Mhm.
And I want to look good for you. And if
Right.
I look good for you, I'm gonna look good to the rest of the world.
Right. And
And
Bianca and
again,
Montez always look good.
hmm
They are such a good looking couple.
yeah, and they both know it. Um, and the thing is, like, another thing we relate is like him thirsting over her because I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll be sitting there, I don't hear from you, like, God, dang, she fine. So I love that. Like, of course, everybody else
Thank
is. He
you.
and nobody's if you got somebody if you with somebody
Mhm.
and you with them and you think they're attractive, somebody else out there thinks they're attractive. It's a
Mhm.
matter of the trust and stuff. You didn't hear him saying, "Man, why are these people going off on the internet? This, that, and the other." You know,
Right.
no offense, total divas, but Jimmy being jealous of Naomi, we know.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy look in the mirror, she look in the mirror. Like we know that was
They
for
know what's
reality TV.
right, like, everybody know what's up,
Save some for
like,
me,
that is
man.
true, I love that they thirst over each other like that.
Mhm.
Um, and other ways that we can really I think just the overall support that they have for each other.
Mhm.
They can openly talk about their careers, their insecurities, like, even when, um Montez only lasted a couple seconds in the Rumble, and he was, like, making jokes to kinda deflect how he felt, and Bianca was like, "No, it's okay to feel disappointed about that because Montez understands moments, he understands what
Mhm.
creates a successful WWE superstar," and he taught Bianca a lot of it because she was new to the game. So he know like, so he was disappointed, and I love that they were able to have that transparent conversations. I'm going to tell you right now from experience, not a lot of men have the security in themselves to be vulnerable about their careers. Like a lot of
Mhm.
men will hide their work insecurities from their wives for years because they could never be looked at in that vulnerable way. So the fact
Especially
that
in
they're
wrestling.
able, especially in wrestling. So the fact that he's able to say like, actually I was a little disappointed in that. I want more. I want this. I want this. The fact that he's able to talk about Bianca in such an egoless way, like I want to be Bianca Belair. I want to be a top star.
Mhm.
I'm looking up to her. He could easily be resentful. I was the wrestling fan my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm the one who taught her everything that she knows. I'm the one that, all of this. But he can have frustrations about his path and also be there to support his wife 110%. And
Mhm.
that's huge.
Yeah, 1000%.
And I would say you're the ssame way.
Yeah, thank you. And that's the thing, right? Like we've always talked about this, and we had this conversation early. The way because media is like wrestling in a sense where you there's going to be peaks and valleys, right? And
Mhm,
there's going to be times where it seemed like everything I touch will hit, far as views or engagement. Everything you touch,
mhm,
and eh, I can say this. I'll say this on the air. If you're having a bad day, I don't never feel like I can't tell you something and be like, "Well, I don't wanna tell you because you already having a
mhm.
bad day. So I don't
Mm,
wanna make it seem like" because I don't wanna make it seem like I'm ignoring you, but, like, if something great happens, it
mhm,
it it almost kind of like you'll say, like, "Thank you because 'cause I'm having a
right.
bad day, so this uplifted my day," and vice
Yes,
versa,
yes.
where some people, you it's nothing worse than you have something exciting to share, and you go
Mm.
to your significant other and then they just go, "Oh." As Roman said on SmackDown, "No pop." It's nothing worse than that. So, like, the fact is, like, yeah, I've had, like, some days that was just driving me crazy, and then you call, "Guess what? Yada, 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 yada," and then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Thank God." Because your my days got better because of something great
Your
just happened to you.
win feels like my win feels like
Yeah,
yours, and that's what
and
how it should be.
yeah, and you told me that from day one, um, and and remain true. Like I always say, you meet people's representatives. I never felt like
Mhm,
I met a representative of, for the sake of the show, Queen PR.
mm,
I got who the person that was before is the same person that just constantly evolves, and I see that with them. Like we talked about the vulnerability, we talked about their ability, like, that one moment where he said, "Oh, I was just doing this for you,"
mhm.
that may have been like, but it was a way of his support. And he was like, "I wasn't gonna be mad now I get to eat." Now I think because I'm sitting there like, wait, but Montez did the event, so he probably worked on it after WrestleMania and whatnot. We do know he was successful with it. Um, but I think that was great, and like I said, it's just great to see black love. Um,
Beautiful thing,
I would
beautiful
ask you this.
thing. Mhm.
Happy or disappointed? We talked about it at the beginning, or you talked about it, that they dropped all 9 episodes, because this is
Mm.
where we get to put on our media hats and educate the people.
Mhm.
So, how did you feel before we kinda go into reasons?
How I felt about it all dropping at the same time?
Mhm,
I think it makes sense just for it being 2024,
mhm,
and it's a docuseries on Hulu. I
mhm,
think if it was on television, it would have made sense if it was weekly, episodic, but I think it makes sense that they dropped it at the same time. And then they wanted that instant, hit them hard with it all kind of vibe.
mhm,
So you can kind of get the whole picture. And then it's bingeable. You have 8 30-minute episodes. It was very bingeable.
mhm,
You don't have to necessarily know who they are or watch WWE to enjoy the show because it really is about a couple that works together, navigating their relationship, their family life, their future, their jobs. Like that's really what the show's about. So
mhm.
I mean, I'm here for it. I wish um that anticipation of the next week is always fun,
Yeah,
as well. But that's the world that we live in.
yeah, and I agree. I think that's exactly what it was, jump on the trend, get it trending,
Right.
start off the month
Yeah.
hot. The fact that, because it looks like, so it doesn't seem like it'll be like a season 2 or another version or version 2
Mhm.
right away. So I don't
Mhm.
think there was the need to build up for a cliffhanger,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
because she tweeted, you may have seen her tweet where she said she would love to do it again, just not, or maybe it was a question response, but she just don't want to do it during WrestleMania season.
It was probably so much. Shooting a reality show is so much work. I don't think people realize
Mhm.
because you're literally filming like 12 just to get a 30-minute episode. You're filming 12-hour days.
Yeah.
for weeks, on top of the stress of having a championship match at WrestleMania, on top of the stress of being a traveling WWE superstar. Like,
Mhm.
it's so much added on to that. So, um I can see them. And then I think we talked about the difference between docuseries and reality series. I think docuseries is very intentional of the story that they want to tell.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would have to be something else that is poignant for them to do a docu, like Montez being the one that wins Royal Rumble. Like that would be a docuseries to me, where it's something so, particular that a journey that we're following.
Mhm.
Because as much as I was so, just to even just change gears a little bit, just hearing that they were doing a docu series, I was a little surprised just because I just thought they were more private than that. Like,
Yeah.
I was very surprised because they're very protective of their relationships. Like that's why they haven't done any storylines together, because they're just like, we're not messing with that. Like
Mhm.
that's sacred. I hugely respect that. So I was surprised when I heard that they were doing a reality show, but this docuseries makes way more sense. And no shade, no tea. It's very much the generic reality TV formula, the baby teas, how many reality shows have we watched where women went to the fraternity doctor to see like about their options? Like it's all, it's a formula for a reason. We watch
Yeah.
wrestling. It all works for a reason. um so that they still got to kind of protect their relationship at the same time by doing the all of that. And also just keeping their circle around them. Like it wasn't, they weren't out just doing random shit just to film reality TV content. Like, no, you literally had her childhood best friends coming to the house. You literally had them hanging out with their parents. You literally had them
Mhm.
hanging out with their best friends. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. I can't speak enough on how much I really enjoyed it. It's one of those things where, again, you can tell, and I posted on my Facebook, said like, if you love wrestling, but if you love love, or if you love
Aw.
television, this is the show. You know what I mean? I want to see. This is one of those shows like Total Divas that can bring people to wrestling.
Mhm,
From
mhm.
a even like the men, because you see, all right, well, wait, this guy going through this. Oh, I like him.
Mhm,
His fan base is going to go through the roof just
mhm.
because of his charisma on the show. And then you're gonna have people that relate to Dawkins, and and that was one of the things
Yep.
like you look at, as I think about somebody like Angelo Dawkins, or being, having brothers, not natural brothers, but brothers where there is a sense of, just to break the fourth wall down, sometimes there is that sense of, well, I kind of want to do other stuff,
Right,
but I don't want to break up. You know what I mean? Because he
right.
never says he want to break up the Street Profits. He said he just want to do other stuff, and I think that was a good thing. They like kind of showed how you can kind of find a way,
Mhm.
and then you still having the support.
Right.
So that's I mean, the show is just incredible. Cheryl Lee Ralph, shout out to Hulu. Cheryl Lee Ralph uh said that they've been doing an incredible job with
Mm.
Black series and Black History Month.
Love
And
it.
the Variety put out a post and this was mentioned in it.
Wow.
Shout Yeah, shout out to my friend Alicia who works at Hulu. She told me that, they got a lot of cool things and a few cool campaigns she's working on for
Mm,
Black History Month. So to
super
see
cool.
love in WWE, just think about what we know
Mhm,
about the business and about WWE and about professional wrestling. 10 years ago, just 10 years ago, there was so many posts, that was 2014. There was so many posts about there hadn't been a fully Black WWE champion. Up until that
mhm,
time, it was just The Rock, right? There were so many posts about Black people could only get the world title, be it
mhm,
Mark Henry and Booker T, or just the US title or tag title. And to
mhm.
see how far we've come to the point that they're highlighting a black couple that a black women's wrestler went in to WrestleMania as champion and walked out as champion. You know, it
Wow.
shows you how far they've come, and to have Love and WWE in
Mhm.
the title, just the
Right.
name WWE carries so much weight,
Yep.
and to have that in the title that's gonna reach millions, it's incredible. I'm excited.
It is. It's such a big step because the central characters on the show are black. Or it's a black couple.
Mhm.
We talked about it's such a full circle moment because Bianca has talked about watching Total Divas and seeing how women in
Mm.
WWE can do it all. Like you can be gorgeous, you can be fabulous, you can be ambitious, you could be a wrestler, you can be a girlfriend, you could be a mom, you could be all these different things. To her now having her own reality show or docu-series where her husband that is also happens to be in WWE. Who would have thought? And I just have to say, who would have thought? I'm sure Bianca would have never, she didn't, she says WWE found her. Like she didn't know that that's what she was meant to do, but it found her and it ended up being exactly what she was supposed to be doing. And then she meets the love of her life, her partner in life. They literally got, met and got married within I would say, year to 2 years. That's how
Mhm.
much they knew that they were it for each other in this wild world of wrestling. And I think the same, like you are such a blessing. And who would have thought,
Mm.
even like my parents sometimes they'll joke, like, who would have thought that thing that you would watch with them, every week would turn into like my passion. And now I'm getting all these amazing opportunities. And then to see that it led me to you, it's very wild. And that's, I think, the underlying tone for me when I watch the show is just like, this is beautiful. Like they met. What if Mark Henry didn't bring Bianca to, or see how much she was a diamond in the rough when it came to being a WWE superstar? Like who knows what would be happening. So now they are, making Bianca champion, making her a history breaking champion. She was the face of WWE, this beautiful, talented, articulate black woman, unapologetically herself. And now she's on TV or on Hulu, them being them.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing.
It surely is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so crazy because, like, I remember watching the Mae Young Classic and, being excited, "Oh, okay, there's another black woman, in there," and at the time, when the Mae Young Classic was announced, I think it was around the time we was wrapping up our times at WSU,
Mm-hmm.
Women's Superstars United, which was based out of Jersey, and, there was a lot of people in that classic, including people like Marty Bell and
Mm,
Kimberly and Mia Yim, who we had worked with. And but when you saw, like, there was people like Rhea Ripley who I'd heard about through magazines and websites, but she was from overseas. But then seeing Bianca Belair, and I was like, okay, I never heard of her. So now, time to do the research and to see how far she's come, going on NXT, being successful there, then coming to the main roster, having immediate impact. And she started her main roster run during the pandemic.
she did.
She made her Raw.
She
I
did.
remember how Twitter went off. It was like Raw is EST,
Yep.
and now to see, being a leader. If you would have said 5 years ago, like, oh yeah, she's going to be the number one woman in pro wrestling and
Right.
have a reality TV show.
Guaranteed WrestleMania match. Like
Yeah, it was like,
crazy.
okay, maybe, but it's amazing to see. And again, just thinking about, and we talked about this. I know we get ready to wrap up soon. You being a young black girl who loved wrestling, you
Mhm.
know, not having a Bianca Belair to look
Right.
up to, and we Jacqueline was somebody, like, we did a episode about commentators
Mhm.
on TWG Fan Club. They didn't push Jacqueline as somebody who was a role model, you
Right.
know, but where you see Michael Cole and Corey Graves talk about Bianca in
Yep.
that way, in that light. So it's amazing to see. This show proves how far wrestling has come,
Yes, very much
And how far black people have come.
very much so, and just the visibility.
Mhm,
I thank Bianca and Montez for putting their story out there. I can imagine how many other couples and stuff that it inspires, and it's also just an entertaining show. At the end of
mhm,
the day, you know, they're entertainers. It's a good ass show. They're beautiful to look at. You
mhm.
know, they are gorgeous couple. They match every episode. They are always smiling, and there's so much love in so many different aspects. There's a lot of superstar cameos. Liv Morgan, of course, Dawkins, but you get some other superstars in there. You get to see Royal behind the scenes of Royal Rumble, of Elimination Chamber, of Raw and SmackDowns, and of course WrestleMania. And it's also fun to be on the road to WrestleMania while they're on the road to WrestleMania. It's fun. It just makes you even more excited. You can watch all 8 episodes streaming on Hulu. I am sure you know if you don't got Hulu, I know you know somebody that got Hulu login. You know, ask the friend group who could pass that because it's a super cute show, super cute binge. It really brightened up my day. Thank you, Brian H. Waters, for recapping this with me. I
Of course.
wanted to see how you felt about it from a fan and also just from, you know, a part of a couple, I guess.
You guess?
Sorry, I got shy. Like, this is a lot. I've talked a lot about our love, which is not the usual, but I feel like it was
Mhm.
necessary for the Love and WWE recap.
Yeah, this is definitely different for us, you
Hmm.
know? So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you, you know that, and I love you, you know that.
I love you too. But we're gonna definitely work together more.
Work together
I
every week.
love, but it's even more coming. We've
Mhm.
got the A&E series coming up.
Mhm, mhm.
We've got some books coming out.
That's true.
We people enjoyed our Iron Claw film review that we did. That's on those Wrestling Girls YouTube and podcast platforms. So go check that out.
And after that rabbit hole we went through,
Oh, the Von
I
Erich
I
family experts.
I good thing for the business. It's a good thing. I think we need to do 40 years.
Oh,
Wow, it's crazy. 40 years the David Von Erich left us.
wow. Wow.
I
Wow.
would definitely love to talk about him,
Hmm.
all the stuff I learned, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
y'all wasn't lying.
Fascinating. It
He
is
was gonna be the guy." They say he was gonna be bigger than Hogan.
that I heard.
In Texas, they said Hogan
Mm.
wouldn't have been able to come down there and take over that territory.
Wow.
That's,
I
like,
mean,
fascinating to think about.
it's the course of history.
Mhm.
Like, would have just kinda changed. We also got Dark Side, season
Chris
5 coming, 10
Crispa
episodes.
and Barber Beefcake.
That is very exciting for you. I'm personally excited for Sherry Martel's episode.
Yes, me too.
But I am interested in every episode this season. I'm excited. But
Mhm.
so me and you will get together. We'll recap and review a lot of this new content is coming because we've been like itching for a new wrestling doc. Like we're literally like,
Yeah.
okay, we've watched everything over and over and over again. So the season is here.
We
So you will
started
be
off with
hearing a lot
something
from
very
us.
light.
We did
This
something
started Yeah,
wholesome.
this is started off very light and wholesome. It's like, "Alright, y'all,
Yep, and it's like,
buckle up."
buckle your seatbelts, we going in. But thank you
Mhm.
for joining me, Brian. Thank you for everyone that tunes into those Wrestling Girls. We stream every single week, Wednesday nights, TWG Fan Club with me and the crew, Fridays with Krista B for schooling sessions. A new episode of those Wrestling Girls drops this weekend as well. Krista B and I finally recap Royal Rumble now that we've seen who each of the winners, well, we don't know who Cody picks, but we kind of know the direction of WrestleMania. So we're going to recap going to Rumble in Tampa, Florida, and all
Mhm.
the misadventures that comes with that. But then we'll also kind of talk about how the Royal Rumble and the Road to WrestleMania is going. So I'm excited. It's always magic when Krista B and I join up and team up.
Mhm.
We will also be joining Seindole B for a Stand and Deliver pre-show,
Vengeance
uh,
Day.
Vengeance Day, because I
Mhm.
know my NXT pay-per-views, PLEs. But we'll do a pre-show with her, an offset of her Watch What Happens NXT show every Tuesday here on Those Wrestling Girls Twitch.
She already prepping too.
She
She
prepping.
been
It's gonna
sending
be
out
good.
assignments.
She
Give
has.
me this, give me that. I need this from y'all. I need that from
Yes,
y'all.
my girl works. It's gonna be good. So make sure you join us. We'll be streaming from a bunch of channels. And you know the deal. You can find me at Queen 3_PR everywhere. New episode of Where Wrestling Meets Pop Culture dropping this weekend as well. Shout out to everyone that's been supporting that new show. Everyone that's been supporting my social media content
Mhm.
on TikTok and Instagram. Hey Bianca, so yeah, comment girl. I love you too, girl. Um, but yeah, it's all so great. This year has so much already that has happened, and I'm so excited for the rest of the year. And we will catch you later.